Welcome to the MTR Sports Report. I'm your host, Bill Zeltman, and we're here with Richard Price from thecowboyscorner.com,
Evening.
Ron Solpese from MySteelCurtain.com, and our football prodigy, Josh.
Yo.
So guys, the big games this week. Coming up, Super Bowl, Green Bay Packers versus Pittsburgh Steelers. So, we're going to get right into it. We'll start with you, Josh. How will Big Ben do against the Packers secondary? Ben threw 2 interceptions in the last game against the Jets, and the Green Bay Packers secondary has been really hot. What do you think?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of linebacker blitz, A.J. Hawk, Clay Matthews, and I see Rashard Mendenhall coming up into the passing game and scoring some big touchdowns.
Ron?
How do I follow that up? Well, the big thing with Ben is that he has the ability to extend plays. He's very mobile. If the pocket breaks down, he has the ability to escape and get out of the pocket. And I think that's going to be the key. If the offensive line can give him a little bit of time, even if he has to scramble around just a little bit, I think he's going to be okay.
Your thoughts, Rich?
The Packers' corners are probably the key to the game. Williams and Woodson, if they can control Hines Ward, it's a big effect on the outcome. Trying to keep Hines Ward from getting a catch or breaking something open, that's a big thing. If they can get some turnovers against Roethlisberger, again, that's obviously can be a big turning point in the game. I don't know if they can keep Hines Ward and company under control for 4 quarters, but to me they're the keys to the game for Roethlisberger.
Okay. Before we go talking about the Packers, I'm going to give Ron his terrible towel. I don't want him to feel left out here.
Well, actually, I'm just glad he has sleeves on tonight. So.
And it is good, fans. We made him wear sleeves tonight. Yeah.
Sleeves and deodorant.
Deodorant always.
Yeah. Okay. On the Green Bay side, how important is it for James Starks to have a big game? Rich, we'll start with you.
Obviously, one of the keys to their offense. He's got to take pressure off of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, it is his first Super Bowl. That first quarter is going to be the biggest, getting in the groove quarter. If he doesn't get in the groove early, it could be a long game for Aaron Rodgers. Being able to get the ball out of his hands, obviously a big key to the game, especially the first quarter.
Ron, I saw a report on it that they said if he doesn't rush 75 yards, the Green Bay Packers have no shot. What do you think?
Well, it all depends on how you look at that, because there's no way he's going to get 75 yards. Not against the Pittsburgh Steelers' #1 rushing defense.
He's not waving the terrible towel, folks.
Now, however, when you talk about how important is it that he has a big game, define big game, okay? What's going to happen? This is going to be a close game, scoring-wise. You got 2 very similar teams, defense, offense. What's going to come down to is ball control and clock management, okay? So what I see, he's not going to get a lot of yards, but when it comes down to the 4th quarter in a close game, and he has the ability to grind out a couple of first downs and run that clock out, that's where he's going to have, that's where he will have the big game, if he can do that.
Josh?
Well, I think because, as Ron said, first rush defense, and I think James Starks isn't going to run it as much as he did, against, first game division, because Steelers have #1 rush defense, and they're going to pass it, I think, even more to, John Kuhn, maybe, in, the end zone. I don't know, maybe reliable. And Aaron Rodgers is going to pass it more because I think he has big shoes to fill from Brett Favre, and I think he's going to learn from Brett's mistakes and, make Green Bay Packers proud that Aaron Rodgers was still there.
So while you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, which Aaron Rodgers do you think is going to show up on Sunday? The one that was awesome against the Falcons, or the one that had the pedestrian appearance against the Bears in their last game?
Well, I think it's going to be the first Aaron Rodgers, the Falcons one, because he's going to open up in the passing. He's going to have a lot of passer rating. He's going to hit Greg Jennings multiple times. I think he's not going to be there in the touchdown area, though, because maybe John Kuhn or James Starks or Brandon Jackson even will run it in for him. But he's going to have frequent breaks, but not as many as he did last game.
I think the big question is which Pittsburgh Steelers team shows up. The team that played and was so dominant against the Jets in the first half, and a team that went to a bit of a shell and held on at the end. Obviously, they had enough to hold on there, but the second half, they let the Jets get back in that game, which depending on which half shows up, obviously that's going to have a big effect on this week's game.
Ron, what's your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers? Which Aaron Rodgers do you think is going to show up?
Well, there's no doubt that you're going to have a hot Aaron Rodgers because it is the Super Bowl, and you have to be on your A game. You shouldn't even be playing if you can't give it your best. You have a quarterback who's mobile. He can run. He can get the first down if he needs to. But he's also going up against the number 8 passing defense in the NFL. So that's going to have a factor. You've got a healthy Troy Polamalu now back in that game. I don't know what kind of impact that may have, but I certainly think that he's going to challenge that Steelers secondary.
Okay, I want to follow up about Polamalu in a moment, but second question about the quarterbacks. What effect will the pass rush have against both of these quarterbacks that are tough to bring down and hold on to the ball probably a little too long?
Well, I think the pass rush isn't going to affect that much because I think on that, Steelers are number 1 and then the Packers are number 5. So there's not going to be a real big effect on that. I mean, Big Ben's hard to take down, but I'm sure Clay Matthews could find a way to break even and just crush him.
Rich, what do you think?
If the Steelers go into a shell like they did in the second half against the Jets, Ben's going to be a target back there. He is a proven champion though, and as I say, if you want to beat the best, you got to beat the best. Roethlisberger's got 2 rings already. Bringing them down, is always tough. He always seems to extend the play. Aaron Rodgers got a high level to set to try to match that. So both guys will be on pressure from the start. Roethlisberger, I like his experience in the big game. He's proven, hey, I grind it out. I look ugly. It's win ugly. Fourth quarter, next thing you know, he's throwing a pass that's the prettiest thing you ever seen. Steelers win the game.
You got to stop talking about Steelers being in a shell. Okay.
I'm in a shell. I'm in a shell.
A little respect.
A little respect. Well, they're in the Super Bowl, so I'll give them that.
No, seriously though. The way I see it now, again, you're going to have a critical matchup on the offensive line, O-line versus D-line. Okay, so whoever wins that battle is going to win the rushing battle. But you're also talking about 2 very similar defenses. Okay, you've got some heavy-hitting linebackers. They love to rush. There's no question the Steelers are going to bring it. Okay, they're going to rush. The funny thing is, you have a lot of Pittsburgh influence on the Green Bay side. Now, their defensive coordinator is Dom Capers. Now, he was the defensive coordinator for Pittsburgh in the mid-'90s, the Blitzburgh founded defense. Okay. The other thing you have on the coaching staff in Green Bay, you have Darren Perry, who's the safety coach, the DB coach. And he was pretty much a standout DB in Pittsburgh in the 90s. And he actually held a position on the Steelers coaching staff for a little while. So you have that influence there. They know how to coach. They know how to rush. So I think you're going to see both sides bringing a pretty tough pass rush.
So back to Polamalu. First question, is he 100%? Second question, if he is 100%, how much does he mean to this team?
I don't think any player this late in the season is 100%. Everybody's is banged up. Steelers still continue to say that Pouncey center, the rookie center, who's done a great job all season, who was hurt in the game against the Jets. They're still saying he might play, but we all saw him on the sidelines against the Jets. I mean, man could barely walk. Everybody's banged up. Polamalu, Achilles injury, very tough to recover. It takes a lot of time. 2 weeks off, obviously, is going to help both squads. Polamalu, to me, is basically the key player for the entire game. If Polamalu goes and can play to the level that we're accustomed to seeing, I think the Steelers walk away with it. If he's 75%, and the Packers take advantage of that, I think it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, Polamalu, he's going to play right through that ankle injury. It's not. He was quiet against the Jets. Okay, it was his first game back after having the injury. I don't think that it really played a factor. I think it was more scheme than anything else. He's going to be a major part of this Pittsburgh defense, and if they're going to do well defensively, he's going to definitely have to be a part of that.
If I'm the Jets, or excuse me, the Packers offensive coordinator, I find out where Palomalu's at. He's on the left, I go right. If he's on the right side, I go left. I mean, that's how I game plan for him. I'm going to make that man run across that field to get to every play. I want to see how that ankle's doing. Going right after him is never going to be a good idea. But I think you try to make that man run. That's gonna be a big effect on the game.
Yeah, and don't forget he is the Steelers MVP this year.
Josh, you have any thoughts?
Well, I think Troy Polamalu is going to help close up the running defense, but I don't think he's going to be that good in the pass. I mean, I think Brian McFadden, Lamar Woodley, Lawrence Timmons are going to open up and try to be like the MVP of the Super Bowl. I mean, they're going to come out and they're going to try to do their best, but I don't think Polamalu is going to have as big as an impact as the newer players that have. I mean, sure, he's a veteran, but these players, some of the players have never been in a Super Bowl before. So, I mean, it would be a great time to step up and close up the pass.
So Josh, this is our youngest member. What do you think of Palomalu's hair? Is it something you know?
What does he have, like $1 million contract on
Yes,
that
he
thing?
does.
Short
He has
for $1 million.
His hair is insured for $1 million.
How much does that cost?
Probably about $1 million. more than we have, of course. But I'm curious. What do you think about that? Is that something you know?
It's very streaky, curly. I'm sure my mom would love it.
This has been the MTR Sports Report. Thank you to our special guests. Join us tomorrow as we have part 2 of this interview predicting the Super Bowl.